Hello, 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 and welcome to our weekly live show. I am Fabiana Claure, pianist and business strategist for musicians, and I am excited to come today with a very special topic that has a lot to do with the work that I get to do day in and day out with the Musicians Profit Umbrella audience, community, and clients from around the world. So I'm excited because I just learned that I can stream into Instagram for the very first time. And so I am going to see if this works so that we can get this going. I'm not sure if it's actually working or not, but I will give it a try and hopefully it will be working. Let's see it. So it looks like I'm live. Let me just double check. If you have Instagram, if you can confirm if I am actually live on IG, that'll be super exciting because now I get to multitask and multi-live broadcast on different platforms. So let me just see on my side if it's showing live. Not really sure. Well, you'll tell me if it is live or not. It looks like it's not quite live yet. At any rate, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give it my best and maybe I'll figure it out for next time how to get this going. Anyway, welcome everyone. Say hello if you are joining me. Where are you joining me from today? I can't wait to know about your questions. What are the questions that you have around your business model? And why is it important to focus on how do you actually work instead of just what's the problem that you need to solve? You see, the reason why I chose this topic is because a lot of the conversations that I have with musicians from around the world centers around fixing a problem that is typically the wrong problem. I hear conversations with musicians that, they say, I need more volume of clients coming into my world. I just need to attract more people. I need to bring in, better clients. I need to find the right type of clients. And there's always this desire for just more visibility, more, recognition, and more of the same type of clients, the same type of work. If you have 30 students, now you want to have 50 students, or if you have, you know, 5 gigs a month, now you want to have 15 gigs a month. And the problem with this is that if you are focusing on continuing to build the model that most musicians have built, which is one in where you're trading your time for money, you are basically depending on having to be day in and day out with everyone around you. And if they're not physically in front of people, like they can't earn a living. If you're not teaching, if you're not one to one with your students or in person in that gig, then you just don't have any other way of making a living. And there's a problem with that. And I hope you can see that because if you are limiting your income on having to always be trading your time in order to earn, then you will always have a ceiling. You will always have a cap. And so instead of trying to simply grow your music business by trying to do more of what you are already doing, right? By trying to get more students or sell more low ticket courses or get more performances and just continuing to work hard at what's basically not working, my invitation to you and the purpose of today's model of today's training is about helping you reconsider how you can shift your model and not necessarily need more of the same type of students, more of the same type of teaching scenario, the same type of context, more of the same types of gigs, but instead shift your business model where you can actually change the way you serve, monetize your knowledge instead of your time, and create a product of your intellectual property. In a way, immortalize your knowledge, immortalize your experience so that people can access that information whether or not you are directly in front of them, right? Whether or not you are directly teaching them yourself, right? So comment me in the chat if you are committed to building a better way of growing your business and shifting the way you've been doing things so that you are no longer limited by having to trade your time for money. If you're watching me live, let me know where you're watching me from and if this is resonating with you. That's really what this is all about. And so when it comes to making these shifts, how do you go about changing your model? How can you start shifting in a way where you're no longer having to trade your time for money in this way? And instead, you're able to grow and build a business where you are actually, getting people results through your collective experience instead of through your time. So today I want to give you 3 strategies on how you can start shifting successfully your music business model and start realizing that actually you don't need more students. You don't need more gigs. You don't need more performances, more royalties, downloads, more streams from your album. You don't need more venues to hire you what you need is an online business that will give you the cushion to be able to monetize everything about you, everything you've learned, right? So number one, the first step is avoiding repetition in the way you work with your clients and committing to productizing your intellectual property. Right now, if you are like most musicians and especially educators, there are probably 5 to 10 core frameworks, core things that you teach no matter where your students are. They are truths, they are foundations that you have taught to your students, and you may find yourself repeating them over and over and over again each week because there's things that are the same, right? Whether it relates to technique, whether it relates to posture, whether it relates to uh, sight reading skills, whatever it is that you do in the work that you do, there are truths that apply to your students no matter where they are in the learning process. Or whether you teach something else that's not music, whether you coach on performance anxiety or breath work, like so many of my clients have, combined these additional skills in the way they work online. It's not just teaching music. Whatever it is, you have some core foundations, some core beliefs that have allowed you to become proficient in this topic. And so when you start committing to building a way where you can deliver that information without needing to be live in front of your students, and you can start building a library of content over time, which you don't necessarily need to do it all at once, but you can start seeing, what if you could, compartmentalize this information and record it, document it in a way where people don't have to necessarily be directly in front of you to get access to that knowledge, and start building a library, building a training, and even start, delivering it in real time, maybe to your existing clients, and recording that as you are doing it. So no longer are you simply delivering it live with no, record or way to document what you're doing. No, start documenting what you're doing right now. You don't even need to think about building something new for new people and trying to hoping that they want it. No, no, no. Start documenting the way you work right now, right? And then start asking yourself, is this something that potentially could be scalable, could be amplified? So I don't have to just be always the one repeating it to everyone. That's step number one. Step number two, clarify what is the ultimate outcome that you are working towards with your students. And of course, if you're like most music teachers, most educators, chances are you offer a lot of personalization in the way you work with your clients. And that's totally fine. That's certainly something I value as well in the work I do with musicians. However, there are always going to be some overarching outcomes that you are going to know your clients are looking for. And when you can define what are those outcomes that they really are looking for, how can you describe the results of your knowledge in a way that will make it clear to them what they can expect as a result of working with you in this way? What are the outcomes that they can expect after a certain period of time, right? And what does that learning journey look like for them? When you're clear around the outcome and you're not so much driven by the process, it doesn't matter whether they're going to meet with you one-on-one for an hour, for 3 hours, for a full day, once a week, twice a month. It does not matter. What matters is the result, right? Type result if this is resonating with you. Result. That's what we're looking for, right? So the next step is clarify that result. What is that outcome? And the third step is you now need to be able to create deliverables and content that will ultimately give your clients that breakthrough, that epiphany that will help them shift what they're doing, right? They're probably doing things wrong right now. They're doing things in a way that is not efficient, that is not getting them towards where they need to be, whatever problem they're trying to solve. And how will your intellectual property, remember, not your manual labor, not your face-to-face direct instruction, but how will your intellectual property, your productized knowledge, help them get that epiphany, that breakthrough in a way that works without you? And in a way, it's a tricky thing because I know that for many musicians, there's a certain element of pride in being the guru, being the expert, being the specialist, right? And I think that's okay, but you have to also remember that if your knowledge only stays in your brain and no one else can access it unless they're just directly in front of you, you are limiting the overall impact that your experience and your talents can create on people around the world. You're limiting that. So you need to make sure that the more you want to make an impact, the more you want to help people, the more you have to commit to seriously documenting your knowledge and really asking yourself, how can I get my clients, my students, whoever you work with, how can I get them to experience these realizations, epiphanies, breakthroughs without having to have me always the one leading them. Now, this doesn't mean that you're just going to build something completely hands off with a like completely remote, no access to you type of model. As you're transitioning in this new way, I don't recommend you just try to put a bunch of videos together and sell those and just hope that they get people the results they're looking for. No, I actually recommend you go more towards a high touch hybrid model that allows you to raise the value of your offer. Because even though they're going to have access to your intellectual property, to your productized knowledge, they're also going to have access to you, to your perspective, to your nuances, to the direction and the personalization that you'll be able to provide when you have a combination of the two formats, the recordings with the live group experiences. And when you're able to blend those two, all the power to you. You now have a model where you're able to make the best of both worlds. You can teach in a group session, and you can also have additional resources that can give your students results without you needing to be the one doing all of those things. So, to recap for today's training, again, the first thing is looking for redundancies in the way you work. Can you categorize the 5 to 10 core tenets of your teaching, of your work, of your secret sauce, so to speak, that you know could be documented and therefore not necessarily be repeated every time? Number two, can you clarify the outcome? What is the actual result that your clients are going to be working towards in order to be able to really feel committed to joining you in this new way? And oftentimes when you see that, perhaps you've tried to present this to your students in the past, create some sort of change, if you didn't have that clarity around what are they actually getting at the end of this process, what is that overarching big result that you're working towards, chances are they haven't been able to respond with enthusiasm. They haven't signed up for it. They haven't said yes to it, simply because you haven't had that clarity around how can you communicate this in a better way. What is the actual value that you're providing as a result of this change? So do not worry. If you haven't been successful before in changing your model, maybe in the way you presented it to your students, my hope is that now you have more ideas and more clarity around how you can do this successfully for you and your students, right? And the third step is make sure that you can create epiphanies and breakthroughs without you needing to be the one giving them that face-to-face reaction. I have clients who come into my programs, and some of them show up very actively every single week, and they're live in the coaching calls and they're asking questions and they're engaging. And obviously that's a great way to do things. But I also have other clients who are very, very busy and who, for one reason or another, don't necessarily show up. They're not live interacting with me, but they're going through the trainings, they're watching the replays, they're engaging with the content on their own time, and they experience incredible breakthroughs no matter whether or not they have to be face to face with me. So what would that look like for you? I want you to start brainstorming and asking yourself, what would that actually look like for you, right? And so all of this is tying into a very special moment as we're heading out into the next year. We are right at the end of 2023. This is, in fact, our last live stream of 2023. Amazing. We're heading into 2024, and this new era, this new year that is coming in has given me an exciting opportunity and momentum to launch a very new platform that is going to continue amplifying the message and the lessons and experience and the impact that I'm trying to create along with everyone in my community. And that is the launch of our very first podcast. It's called the Musicians Creating Prosperity Podcast. So I want to invite you, if you haven't yet signed up to be on the waiting list to hear from everything that I'm sharing, then here's the link. I'm going to put it here in the chat. And I want to encourage you to check out this secret podcast episode. So we've got an unreleased secret podcast episode that we are sharing as a little preview of what's to come. And I'm going to drop the link here in the comments, and you can sign up for it. You can get in the list to be notified on the wait list for the podcast. And hopefully this will help you start getting a feel for what this new platform is going to be, really as a way of me giving back to the community and serving in a way that has really helped me personally in my journey growing up and building my businesses and doing everything. I have been an avid listener of audio content and reading books and listening to people who are doing the things that I want to do. So this is my opportunity, after having, worked with musicians from around the world for several years, really helping them build and grow and scale their businesses. This is my way of giving back yet in a new platform to my community. So I want to encourage you to check out. I just put the link in here under the comments. Hopefully you can see it. If you don't see it right now during this live stream, I'm going to come back and I'm going to post it after the fact. So no worries. It'll be somewhere there if you're watching the replay. And you can sign up to listen to the secret podcast episode, the preview with more details about what to expect. And in a few weeks, you will be informed about the release of our brand new Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. So thanks everyone for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic end of this year. Happy New Year. And let me know your takeaways from today's training and what would you like for me to talk about in next week's training and in 2024 in general. I'd love, love, love to hear from you. What are the topics that you feel you need the most help with? How can I be of support and service to everyone watching and joining in my communities? Thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Sign up for that podcast thing. Let me see if I can put it here visibly. You could, it's a long URL. So there you go. Oh, it'll be better to click on the link. So anyway, you've got it you've got it there, and I look forward to continuing these conversations. Thank you for watching, and let's prosper together.